Thank you all for coming out on this, well, it was a lovely evening, until about 10 minutes ago when the rain started to kick in, so you're not missing anything tonight. Welcome, everybody, thank you for taking the time to come out. There's a few things I wanna cover, and kind of go over. I know, I haven't looked at any of it, but I know there's all kinds of chatter on social media sites about, how this is decided, how awful things are, and there's this and that, all kinds of stuff. This is the beginning of a process for all of us, the developers here. It's for all of us to begin looking at and plotting out kind of the last phase of a project that started way too long ago. Okay. Rob Lewandowski, Morgan Robinson, commissioners were here tonight to do really kind of run this like we do our town forums. If any of you were have been at those forums, it's very informal. We're going to kind of run through a little bit of have a few things to say and talk to you, and then open it up for questions. Deb Tampleff is here, our developer. She'll introduce her team that's with her tonight. She'll share a little bit about who she is and kind of the concept plan. I emphasize it's a concept plan. And for us all to talk about what it is we think might make sense, what are the issues, what things we should all look at and talk about at the water towers. So let me take you back, ancient history. We did this study called the Heart of Collingswood study some time ago, 15 years ago. Involved a pretty intensive public process, kind of laid out a lot of development that has happened so far. One of the big aspects was the lumberyard development, because back then that was pretty much an empty lumberyard. And it kind of went through all of the areas, the speed line parking lots, the water tower area, a lot of just Haddon Avenue in general, and went through a process. We did charrettes. We had a couple great sessions here in this room, and kind of mapped out a series of projects and development of the borough over a long period of time. Lumberyard was a big part of that, getting that going. We had little things like a recession that came in the middle of it. Then there was that little thing a couple of years ago that I've heard tell them about this pandemic thing that happened. But through that time, we've kind of progressed with the movement of the police station and our fire station into the new public safety building. Kind of that is a first step to that's the worst conditioned building that had the most human activity in it between the police station and the fire station. Got that building done, that built, and then the last piece of clearing this parking lot, this water tower area, was the public works. And the public works, the new public works facility is under construction right now. As you drive out on Route 130 and kind of you go out on the pike and make a left as you're driving out. Guys, I think it's the first gas station on the right. You are able to look back and see the site where a public works facility is under construction. It's getting built. Probably be ready spring of 25. And with that opening, that would allow us to move the public works building out of the center of the downtown. Something many of you might have heard me talk about, that we wanted to get that done because we've had, as our restaurants and our downtown scene has flourished. Can't tell you the number of times I see people all dressed up going to dinner and sidestepping the front end loaders, and now we have trash trucks, which we didn't used to have, and we don't have the room. So this will get them out of here and let us now, we're beginning that process, to take a look at what to do with this water tower, the parking lot. So we, the process, the short-term process, what we did here was simply we went out to the development community with FMQ request for qualifications and would ask them to tell us who they were, do they have an interest in working with us, give us some generic concept plans. We don't want any detailed plan, we're not at that point. We wanted to have some concepts and hear what they had to say. I have found that it's always a great tool because very often the development community will have ideas that we don't have. And so we got 6 great proposals, great firms, to a lot of good development, and we were really attracted to this one proposal. I think the biggest thing for this proposal was that it kept a proportion toward the rest of our community, to the rest of Collingswood. Some of the other ones were double the size, double the height. And it also included an affordable senior component, which we had not asked to be put into it, but was included an affordable senior component, and that idea, the idea of that was something that we had not thought would make sense here. But as we're in a world right now where the price of housing and a lot of our seniors who are ready to go the empty nest route, you get a lot of money for your house. The trouble always is you have to go buy one. So that's difficult. And so an affordable senior component would give us an ability for aging in place, for keeping people that have been, raised their kids here and stayed here forever, give them another chance. And I want to say more that we like the idea of that, and a developer bringing that to the table with us, as opposed to people have seen the sketches and the drawings, as opposed to the hard and fast plan about how it's laid out. That part is all things we'll talk about, things that will be worked out over time. It's not that is what attracts us to this developer. It's the concept, it's the idea that they come with a proposal that we think fits better into our community, and that it's something that they had an eye toward would be more complementary, be a good thing for our community. So that's what gets us to this point where we're going to do, this is a similar process that we did with the public safety building. Public safety building, we went through a little bit of a process with meeting with the neighborhood, with meeting with the town, of having one thing with the different from this is the water tower, everybody can say that it's a parking lot. That's what it is. With the public safety building, folks didn't really, if you're not in there, you didn't know the condition of the police station and the fire station. So we set up tours, we took people in, we let them see the condition, see what it was. Just to kind of hit home, like, yeah, we really need to do something here. I always joke the police station is where Andy and Barney used to work, except they actually work. Only half the crowd gets that joke, the rest of them don't get that joke. Well, we went through a process and worked with most especially with the neighborhood and the community, since it was getting plopped right across the street, right in the middle of a residential area. And through that process, through that engagement we did with everybody, we not only made what we think is a building, the best compliment is like, it looks like it was always there. We were able to really take care of some sewer issues over on Summerfield and some issues in the neighborhood that were problems that because of this new construction that was going on, we were able to fix that much easier than if we went to just do it from scratch, okay? So that's what this is. So I want to try to just happy to hear anything and everything that you want to talk about, but we want to kind of just let you know, it's not cast in stone, nothing about it is finalized. Honest to God, we're starting at the beginning, cross my heart, we're beginning this process to look, and I'll tell you that this project will be very difficult to do, okay? We have ordinances on the book, there's an affordable, it's a state law, there's affordable housing requirements that have to be a part of this. Those affordable housing requirements will not be satisfied by a senior housing component, okay? It's going to require more than that in order to satisfy our ordinance and state law. We have set as a goal that we'd like to get a net increase in public parking out of this project, okay? Well, doing that, having maybe less of a senior component, having residential units that need parking as well, makes it very difficult, because you need to think of it as we're trying to check off all these things and accomplish all these things in a box that is this high, and we don't want it to go that high. And it's gonna be able to take up this much space, and we can't just keep, it's not like we're developing in a farm in Winslow where we can throw 300 houses up, and maybe we can do some townhouses and now have 330 houses put up. We're dealing with a really kind of tight, finite space. And we all have things that we would like to see in it. And the question is, can we come up with a way that balances that properly and also does it in the way that is feasible? Bless you again, that's the last time. Does it in the way that it's feasible, okay? So, so that's kind of where we are. Bravo, Morgan, we would have.
Just to reiterate, we have not made decisions, that's what this is for. And the checklist is long and the space is short. But we're gonna do our best to keep everybody in mind and do no harm.
Yeah, so I grew up in Coxsackie. I came here in 2002 because we were starting a family and it seemed like a great place to be. And what's kept me here is because I love this town. And I'm mindful of the history before me. I know what's kept me here, everything from schools to the neighbors to the parks to everything. And I'm also mindful of the future and balancing these things. I have a prediction to make. I think folks are going to bring up concerns, and a lot of them are going to be our concerns too. We may not have answers yet, but it's good to hear them. So please do. And hopefully there's also going to be some things just like the senior housing that we didn't think of. And I hope to hear those too. You know, ultimately it is about balancing desirability and feasibility, right? We want it all, but we can only do that. And that's kind of our job, to take all of this stuff and try to work with the developer and take all that noise and make the music happen. That's what we hope to do, and we'll get the show on the road.
You got it. So before I introduce the developer, to talk a little bit about her team and who they are. Let me just talk real quickly. Why do this? Okay, why develop something? There's really a couple different reasons. One is having this sea of parking, have a big empty parking lot. For a town our size, 2.5 square miles, we don't have much new development. Before the lumberyard, we had a new house when a house burned down. Okay, so there's no room to build things. So to make a productive use for two reasons is why we really, to me, it makes sense to look at developing this and doing something with this. And the reasons are this: one, for everyone going forward for the next 35, 40 years, taxes, okay, budgets. There's no expansion of our rateable base that can be accomplished in any way to give relief to taxpayers. And it might not be for us next week, okay, but for the long-term health of the borough, there's not the opportunity to see a warehouse getting built every, tons of towns, and where there's room development happening. And what that does by expanding that rateable basis helps kind of ease a little bit of the financial strain on everyone else. Okay, that's one, and the second is the reason to look at here of Haddon Avenue is to provide more people that live in an orientation toward the avenue. Okay, a lot of things have helped our Haddon Avenue, helped the downtown. I don't think anything has helped it as much as the lumberyard development. And you can talk to business owners, you can talk to the restaurant folks. Having more people living and oriented on that business district gives our business district the best shot to survive, okay? We're still getting people driving in from Medford, driving over from Philly to go to dinner. But for the routine, for that reliable business, you need folks that live close by. In my work, I do a lot of redevelopment, and people always love pictures of Paris, the shops and the cafes. And what you never see in those pictures is that above those beautiful little cafes, there's 8 stories of apartments, okay? And they're the people that shop in all of those stores. And this is kind of a variation of that. We're going through, Sephora is just about to do a couple stories on top of their restaurant. El Fiore got approval to put another floor on top of their restaurant. You're seeing more and more that housing get oriented toward that avenue. It's great for the people that own that property, it makes it very productive for them, but it's also really important for the viability of those businesses, that they have ready-made customers that are oriented, that are living. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna hand it over for as long as she wants. This is Deborah Tantler. Deborah is the head of Tanzam Realty, our developer.
I'm Deb. And nice to meet all of you. I am gonna try to not talk very much, which is not one of my better skills, but I'm really here to listen. After I speak, I do wanna pass it to Jacob, who is my partner from Penrose. And you will also hear a little bit from Steve, who's our lead architect with Thriven. Some of you may or may not know him. So as I said, I'm Deb. I am a housing developer. My business is based in North Jersey. I'm a certified woman business enterprise. My office is based in Jersey City. We develop throughout the state, only in New Jersey. I'm a New Jersey-based business and a New Jersey-based housing developer. We also do a variety of advisory and development consulting services, but that's for another night. I can assure you that over the upcoming months, days, weeks, with however long we need to be working together, you are going to learn plenty about me, more than you might want to know. And so we'll save that for that. A little bit about my background. My business has been in existence for 10 years. Prior to that, I have north of 25 years experience. Prior to forming my own business, I worked for a very large regional developer that has since been sold off to a public REIT. I have been involved with the development of, I would say, north of 8,000 apartments in the state of New Jersey and north of 250,000 square feet of commercial space. My focus is primarily on rental. I do for sale product as well. I focus on market rate as well as affordable. My website, you'll see we've done some veteran housing, a whole mix of product. I say that I work on 20 units to 300 acres and everything in between. With that, my passion is for downtown mixed use development and downtown redevelopment, transit oriented development, because I think that the variables that contribute to that type of product is as much about lifestyle and community as it is about what the building looks like and how many apartments does it fit. Most importantly, we believe that every community is its own unique community and has its own personality. And so that is, we have not come in here tonight with pictures because we need to hear from you, what's important to you. But we will also approach the design of the building from the inside in terms of who we think wants to be living here, who we see the market as attracting to live here. But also from the outside of the building and the exterior architecture, it's very important that every building fits into the place that it exists. There is not a one size fit all solution. Not every building looks the same. We do not prototype one building and drop it, across different communities. And the same applies to my partner, Jacob at Penrose. Some broader perspective, I'm just also a very active member of the housing industry, involved in a number of trade and advocacy organizations that focus on housing, focus on redevelopment, downtown commercial corridors. And also importantly, I'm the state chair of the New Jersey Builders Association, which represents every member of every type of industry professional related to housing throughout the state. And that includes the single family home remodeler to the high-rise developer, the architects, lawyers, the engineers, anybody and everybody that has to touch housing. And I say that because it brings a very wide perspective of housing, a very wide perspective of differences in communities in different geographic regions, different populations, different cultural makeup of communities, ethnic and financial makeup of communities. And it all contributes to there is no one size fits all mentality. And so tonight, I'm really here to hear from you guys. I'm very excited to be here. When the initial request came out, we immediately started making some phone calls, and I'm very drawn to your community. I think your downtown core just has an energy that there's an energy to it that is very hard to quantify and put into words, but it draws you here, and it draws you through. And so our goal is to bring more people to this critical core, to bring them through and experience all that the town has to offer. With that, I'm gonna introduce Jacob, and he can tell you a little bit about Penrose, and then I'm gonna try to stop.
Thanks so much, Deb, and thank you all for coming out for this introduction, and thank you for coming out today. So I'm Jacob Fisher. I'm Regional Vice President with Penrose. We are a multifamily developer based in Philadelphia. We're active in 18 states, developed about 23,000 units of housing, and our business is mostly focused on multifamily affordable with some mixed income and some market rate mixed in. I personally have been coming to Collingswood probably for the last 16 years or so, that I've all the time that I've worked at Penrose to visit Steve, where we have done projects together all over the state of New Jersey and all over several other states together. So I've parked in the parking lot, I've looked at it, and was also similarly very excited to see that Congress was really forward-looking about trying to figure out how to reposition that parking lot and bring it up to its best use. I think that Deb mentioned that we're not one size fits all. It's very much, we do not have a cookie cutter product. We see what works in a particular community, and we try to, come up with ideas that will be sympathetic to what we see there. And I think that the notion, the Mayor said, well, wasn't really asked for to do this mix of affordable and market rate in the RFP that went out. And I think that as Deb and I talked through the ideas, both the geometries of the site, it's what you can fit on one side of the tower, so you can fit on another side of the tower, really calls for the possibility or opens the door for two separate types of housing and two different kinds of uses to be put back on the site. And so that's really the genesis of the idea, knowing also that there is certainly a need for affordable housing, certainly a need for opportunities for people to remain in the community, certainly a need for a functioning housing market to have some turnover and the in housing so that things can open up and people can move in. I think this really does check a lot of those boxes. And I will say that it's also not a completely finished picture. That at this point we have some ideas, and definitely want to hear from all of you about how this might work. So we are here. Certainly want to listen more than we answer. Probably have more things to hear than questions, answers to the questions. But we are really interested in the dialogue. I guess at this point, just bring up local boy.
Good evening, everybody. For those, I know many of you, some of you I don't know. My name is Steve Schock. I'm a resident here of Collingswood. I've been in town for over 35 years. Driven Design is the architecture firm that exists in the old Saint School. So we're right there. Also part of the group that subgroup that actually owns the old Saint School property. So I can tell you one thing from all that you have. I've worked with Deb now for a few years. I've worked with Jacob for 16 years, with Penrose for over 30 years, doing projects all around the country. When they say that they take an individual approach to communities and that if you're listening, that is absolutely the truth. You can look at there's no cookie cutter results when you look at the work that they've done. So that's all I'm going to say, because we're here to listen to what you guys have, because I'm looking forward to the concept noodle, the sketch, becoming something real. And it only gets real in a way that works for everybody if you guys speak up. So that's what we're here.
So it's a nice touch that Steve Schock is part of one of our redevelopment projects in town. The Zane School, for any of you that haven't been around long enough, that Zane School was a big empty building, I won't name names, but a religious organization that kind of lost it. The borough moved and acquired it, and it was boarded up, it was, an eyesore, I'll never forget to this day. There was a story in the Inquirer that we had started a process to acquire it by eminent domain, to start a condemnation. The next morning, I got 2 phone calls. One was from a developer that wanted to tear it down and build a Rite Aid. And the other was from Beth Kitchen, was from one of the founders of the architect firm that Steve works for. They were in offices in Westmont at the Century Office Plaza, and they thought it would make a really cool office for them. Started a process, talk, and God love her, as her late husband Ben said to me one day, this started as a real estate deal, but now my wife really wants the house. Like, she kind of like fell in love with it, it became a project. We did a lease purchase agreement, the borough financed that project, it was a lease purchase, we ended up selling that property to the group, and now it's we got a great business there, it's been great having them here for all this time. Another big help in like getting Bill Barone's moving across the street, because they were both, we're gonna go to lunch now all the time, that kind of stuff. So it's great to have him a part of this, not only a part of the professional team, but also part of the drawings runs into their property, so they're also a property. So as Deb and everybody was speaking, as I'm looking around the room, I'm gonna hit some miscellaneous topics, okay? Bike share. There will be a home for bike share, okay? No need to worry that it's, get obliterated, wiped out. There will be a home for bike share. Where? I don't know. How? I don't know. When? I don't know. But we will figure that out, okay? Farmers market. Farmers market will still exist. There will be, actually, I know from talking to Deb, when they did this drawing, their concept plan, they know a farmers market exists. They kept that part of it untouched where the farmers market is. Whether that makes the most sense later on, who knows, but it will still exist. It's not going away. There's another one too. Who else did I see in the room? There's another topic, I forget, it'll come up. But they're all things that, I know, during construction. I've also heard a little bit of that. During construction, if we get to a point, we get a project we're all cool with, we're gonna go with it. Construction process will certainly be awful, okay? It's like getting your kitchen remodeled, like, it ain't a good happy time, there's adjustments, there's changes. But we will figure out ways, we have to figure out ways in order to keep our businesses alive, keep all the other functions we have going on, keeping them all working. One topic that's come up, and I talked about it now in the last couple of weeks, as we're exploring some things with parking, that one, like just off the top of my head, one possibility, we used to have valet parking on Manhattan. We used to have the restaurants, we ran valet parking for a little while. And we did that because, again, restaurants were just getting going, and we did it during the winter time to try to make it easier to help with parking. We eventually stopped doing it because we didn't have enough places to put the cars, okay? And we had to take them so far away that it didn't make an effective valet process, we couldn't do it. But there are all kinds of options that we'll have to get us through having our kitchen redone, okay? But most folks that get their kitchen redone, when it's over, when you get through it, we want it to be like, man, I really like how it is now, it works better, it's all good for us and everyone, okay? So we're very conscious of those things, and we'll do all we can to make sure it does not had, impacts. Is there a slide of the concept plan? There's not, right? So how about I just steal the poster back here, and just, because I think most of you have seen it. I presume online. But just in case. So the concept plan, not the hard and fast, like the concept plan,
Now, white.
here's where here's where we are in the community center, okay? Is for a structure, for a building on this side of the water towers. That it's identified in this, it's senior apartments, senior affordable complex. This around the water tower is identified as plaza. And the far area over here that runs kind of from the water towers all the way over to onto the urban over to kitchen, you call it kitchen, ribbon. What's that?
Still put it up. Maybe it's gonna put it
Oh,
up.
go like that. So that's generally the layout, the concept of it. And pretty much the other proposals that we got were one form or another of this, okay? Most of them differ in height, some of them went, pretty big. But we think this kind of fits in better. I will, let me just tell you one other thing, which we just threw to death at the end of the last meeting about.
Opposite that.
Thanks, man. The, and we'll see if any of this can work in, but just as we're planning out and plotting the, this little game. Sim City is what it used to be, right? But plotting out this little game is, this building was always intended to have an addition and be built out that way. Okay, there are plans that were done for this. If you look on that side of the building and you ever notice, it's not bricked, it's not finished, it's all cinder block, this side of the building. And the idea was someday, 15, 20 years ago, right, when Public Works is moved out next week, we would build something onto here that could include municipal offices, open up the bank building, sell the bank building, get a business put in there. That bank building, when I started doing this, there were 35 people that worked in there, and today there's a dozen. We don't have as many folks, and there's just not the need for all of it. And it's a beautiful building that could make a great, we already had someone who was interested for architects' offices, we never let another architect. But it could make a great office space, so there's all kinds of pieces in this that are, who knows where to go, okay? We're just gonna talk it through and work and see where we can get. So I think I'm gonna open it for whatever things you wanna talk about, questions, comments, whatever you wanna talk about. Yes.
Well, first of all, Mayor, I want to applaud you for picking the team that you did. Rivet, it's a local firm, nationally recognized, and does excellent work. Penrose, I've been through their property on 13th Street, the Anderson House, and Penrose, I don't know about you, Deb, but at least your partner is one who gets it. They do sustainable projects as well as Rivet does sustainable projects. They stand by their work and they do a quality job. So that to me is incredible. I would hope that as you go through this process, that you might have some public charrettes so that when you start coming up with plans, so there would be a chance for us to look at the documents that you come up with. Selfishly, for Rivet, this is right in their backyard, so it impact them probably more than any of us. Literally, yes, they have to give up their parking. Additional concerns are, how do you fit 10 pounds of mud in a 5-pound sack, which is what you're doing here. Impact on utilities. I don't know, water department, bringing all these additional living units, electric and sewer. Do we have enough EDUs and fluid discharge units to be able to handle this increase in housing? I mean, all of these things have to be looked at, obviously. I would like to think that this is a team that will make this Tate parking lot better than what it is now. not only will people be living in a transit-oriented development, that they will be able to take the train to go in town to work, but also that maybe there would be a green roof on top of this to try and get some of the paving out of this area, maybe solar, to try and harvest some of the natural benefits that we have in this town. Also, I would hope that as the team looks at this, possibly there's a way to encourage local people to be able to get jobs working on this project. The fact that you have a woman-owned business leading the team, what can we do to get our youth, our women, our minorities involved in these projects, even if it's just to be a part of the overall process. We have a lot of high school students who would love to be a part of this. I think that there's a lot of opportunity, and the talent that you brought to the table here certainly has a track record of doing this kind of stuff, so kudos to you for making it great.
Great, okay, thank you all for coming. We're officially done. No, thank you. All right, who else? What else? Yes, sir.
So I think this might be reiterating what you said about the public safety complex when, once they got approved, you were able to improve other amenities and utilities around that area. I guess, I know the farmers marketing is not going anywhere, but this could be an opportunity maybe to look at that, essentially that pedestrian corridor. And how can we make it more enjoyable for people on foot there? We all go there on Saturdays in July, it's unbearably hot. So what could we do to help make that, better during the summer months? Whether it's,
We actually, at our meeting the other day, we actually talked about improving the pedestrian walkway kind of from the lumberyard area back through here, which would now pick up this and then down to speed line.
yeah, whether it's like, shade trees, those take decades to grow. Shade shelters, canopy, something, so you're there on a Saturday at noon in July, it's more enjoyable to be there with your family than baking in the hot sun.
Yeah.
As part of a general overall, like, if we're gonna be doing all this work, maybe put a little bit more thought into that area as well too.
Yeah, no, great ideas, it's all the kind of stuff we want to hear. Yes,
I just want to piggyback off that. I'm interested in knowing about what kind of accessibility we're gonna have in this area, for example. But I love the idea of the senior facility, and with that in mind, and people of all ages have accessibility problems. So if you look at Halloween, lumberyard is beautiful, but the sidewalks, they're very narrow. There's trees where, on pictures, there's like 1 foot, which you need to cut out with the mulchings, and then there's drop off and stuff. You can picture yourself like in a wheelchair trying to have this situation. If you're having a senior center, picture maybe 2 people passing each other in a wheelchair on that sidewalk, perfectly feasible that that could happen. Is somebody going to have to back up a block so they can do that, and also just additional access to other persons.
okay. Yes,
I'm curious, I think I'm reading it correctly, is it all rentals, there are no purchases at the entire complex?
the plan would be all rentals, the plan's all rentals, yeah.
Is there some?
Well, It's more of a market thing, like right now, the condo world's not the greatest. I always worry just from my work, like I've been places where, like, condos can fall into kind of a disrepair. Well, pretty quickly, okay? A project with apartments and institutional money in it generally keeps everything up, like keeps it in good condition, all in good condition. But it's certainly something to look at. It's just like the marketplace right now, the demand for rental housing is just, through the roof.
There's just some combo, I feel like it's great to have the senior and have the rental, I think for sure in the rental. Definitely did, but I also feel like there's not a ton of small, like affordable, $200,000, $300,000 spaces for people to buy.
Okay.
And I have a ton of clients that would come here, can't get lumberyard, it's like they want
this would be a great opportunity to put money back in the system and kind of figure out a way, I don't know, even if it was 20 of them, 15 of them, that makes sense.
Maybe that'll be next when we do it the speed line. No, no.
On record.
Yes, Steve.
Are there elevations of?
No, we're not, we're just not there. Yeah, we're there, we haven't, nobody's drawn one, looked at one, discussed it, not at all. Yeah, not yet. Yes,
I'm really, concerned about, I'm 73 and I'm not gonna make it, but you know. I mean, that. I have no children, but I've been trying to be really ecology minded. To save Earth. And we just keep ignoring. Yeah, I know, and building. Seems as it's great, building apartments is great, you know, but also think about what you're doing to the water system. Build more trees. Trees aren't gonna resist pretty soon. There are the trees that we plant, the maple trees, they're not surviving on this zone.
so
It's like,
I got you, but a couple things, okay? One, have you seen it? Okay, it's a parking lot. It's a big parking lot, okay? I would hear you if we were tearing down the forest, okay? It's a parking lot, and if we do nothing, no, but if we do nothing, it'll just be a place where cars park.
I understand.
So, but we will, I tell you what, we'll be happy to have you, when we bring it, okay? So, but what we will do is do all we can to be mindful that we need to build it the right way. Our public safety building has a green roof, okay? And we did it, we satisfied everything for one of the lead certs, but didn't get the lead cert because it costs another $5,000 to go buy it, okay? But we're. And the other piece is, there is a real need to provide the housing, okay? This will be a component of it that, I know people complain that all our values are too high. Which I'm kind of get that complaint all the time, but our values are too high, but it gives it another component of that housing mix that we have. Our town's got the little small row homes, tiny houses, and then we have really big houses, so we gotta mix this. So I hear you, but.
Thank you. Also, if I'm hearing you correctly, and I think you're spot on, right? I think it is something you're worried about. I think in the end, if we look at it, have people that can live maybe without a car in transit oriented development, if you want to get their stuff. Could be a good thing. But if I'm hearing you correctly, tell me if I'm wrong. You want to make sure that this is a net positive and not a net negative. Is that fair to say? Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. I wrote it down actually when you were talking.
Yes, neighbor?
Hi, how you doing? And everybody else. What might be the pollution remediation that's gonna be required for this site? And has anybody addressed that in terms of any kind of estimation? And are there any state or federal funds that could defray that?
So we have no idea, okay? Once we get that public, works building, not being used anymore, that's the spot where I think we run the most risk that there's something. There's a gas pump that's right next to it, but that gas pump had tanks removed and was remediated 10-15 years ago. So we're probably gonna still find something back here. But it's been used as a parking lot for a long time, okay? Police station, like what you saw out there is like what was back there. So we don't know exactly what there is, that's part of what'll be going on, due diligence in this, but yes, so long as the borough owns the property, there's this fund HDSRF, the Hazardous Discharge Site Remediation Fund, that gives towns access. We're actually using it, the gas station at, the closed gas station at Browning and Haddon. We're in the process of acquiring that property, mainly because we can get access to cleanup money, HDSRF money, and we're gonna put it into that and get that cleaned up and get some kind of, some commercial use there. Okay, won't be people living there, but we'll get some commercial use there. So yeah, there'll be, and we'll work that, it's all part of this team, the redevelopment, like it's not like we just turn it over then and they do something, we'll be working pretty closely on a lot of these points. Yes,
You brought this up previously, but just for clarity, I know we're trying to fit like 10 pounds birdseed into a 3-pound bag.
birds.
Yeah. Good.
Is there to possible to make sure it stays in downtown Hollywood, or is it?
It's going to be here,
Okay.
one way or the other, it's just, there's no two ways about it. Whether it's on that run, whether it's urban, whether it's going to be somewhere tied to the downtown, okay?
Yeah.
My expectation where it is right now is it's gonna be able to stay right where it is.
It's too critical a feature of town.
Yeah,
Yeah,
perfect. I
yeah.
just wanted to ask there's a lot of discussion that it could potentially. So I wanted to make sure everybody heard.
That's probably, it stems from when we temporarily put it inside right during COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where it comes from, that's not.
It's, I just tell you now, one person has answered me that, other than this, okay, so don't worry about all that, type of stuff.
And then one more question.
Go.
And-
Is it something to do with birds?
So, I brought this up in a previous meeting, but I just wanted to, express to everyone the need that I feel there is for some public restrooms. I know since a lot of people come in asking to use the restroom, there's nowhere to go, the restaurants are really full, so I just wanted everyone to hear that that's.
At the business meeting, that was part of, we were talking later. What's that? That's right. If you say ribbon correctly, you get to use it. Well, yes.
It's a long, yes, it is, it's an issue, and I think it's good time to at least think about,
You
if
got it.
it's not there, how are we just gonna service?
Go ahead.
I just think this is a great opportunity to add like infrastructure that feels very needed in this corridor here, especially to get Medic Farm connected to Adam, connected to the Paco. At 5 p.m. at Paco, people are biking. A lot of people walk, we're all pedestrians, but the Connect 2020 plan, I don't know how many people in here know about that, but I just would like to advocate for that.
Yeah, there's the interconnectivity on bikes, pedestrians, we have to do little things like, we have to be able to make sure we can pick up the trash from businesses, stuff like, there's a whole lot of that kind of traffic infrastructure that's gotta get figured, in all this.
But there's like sidewalks extending to ship path, instead of accessibility also.
You got
Some of it's easy, and some areas are very hard, but I think the idea of normalizing bicycles so that, so everyone understands that they're users of our transportation infrastructure, just like our pedestrians, just like our cars, and that they're not to be.
Says the biker, says the biker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam.
Yeah, it sounds like the sole objective is to bring in a need for affordable housing, is that correct?
No, have you been here?
But the part I.
Have you been here for what I said? I gave the two main purposes I gave were, one, to help us budgets for long term, taxes long term, that's number one. And two, to have more people that were oriented living on the avenue to help support all the businesses.
Okay, but that becomes, and the effect of that is affordable housing, which you're doing here, affordable apartments. No, what I'm
No,
saying, the
Sam,
interpretation of what you're
Sam.
talking about is to do affordable housing for senior citizens.
So one component of the project is affordable senior.
Right.
The other component is a market rate.
Right.
Okay, and I think you did come in a little late. The market rate has, all of it has requirements under state law for a certain percentage of affordable housing.
Right.
Okay, it's going to be difficult. We've already talked about, like, it's a tough issues making that work within the size of the building, okay? So market rate apartments, it's 15%, 15% need to be affordable. Okay,
50% of the total.
15, 1, 5, yeah, okay.
Okay, now given that, the reason why I asked that question is, I know for a fact that the apartments and some of the condominiums in the development that was done over 20 years ago, were absorbent, $28,000 and $3,000 for 2-bedroom apartments, which that's
What are you talking, where are you talking about?
down the street, where the lumber yard is.
Okay,
No,
Thirty-four.
no, I don't know the ramifications, why those apartments are so expensive, or what become of that.
I think it's because people pay the rent, that's why.
No, it's not because if you pay the rent, it's because it's possibly for someone who's developing that, that's what they want for it, that's what they want for it, is that correct? In other words, is there any control over the apartment rentals that we did years ago when the lumber yard was developed?
No, we don't have rent control. No.
Okay, all right, so we don't, and we never will, which is fine. Okay, so with the project that's being proposed now, and it's supposedly under a 15% reduction in normal apartments that are out there today. Does that mean that that will stay as it is for the duration of, for whatever, why this project is being launched? One apartment,
15% of it will need to be affordable for 30 years. Okay,
that's the.
and it's a deed restricted, and the affordability isn't like it isn't determined by what you take off the rent. It's determined based on the income levels of people. You have to fit, every county has a different state, Camden County has its own standard, so you need, and it's a breakdown of extremely low, mod, like, and so you have to have one from column A, one from column B, you have to have 2 people that fit this category, and 2 people that fit that category.
It's
And so it's tied to their income, and it has to be that way for 30 years.
It's the same structure as conifer housing, as I understand it, that don't work. They go by your income kind of thing.
Yeah, but conifers are generally 100% affordable projects.
Well, some.
But those affordable, the affordable component works off of what the prospective tenants' income levels are.
Okay, my second part of my question is, and I apologize, I wasn't here earlier.
Sorry,
Are we?
we'll go over it all again for you, Sam. Okay, go back.
But are we fulfilling a real need here in town without distressing people here at this meeting?
Are we fulfilling a need?
Fulfilling a need that, sure that everyone has a concern about, a need in this town to have this happen? Is there a demand for what we're doing here? Yes.
Oh, I think there's a huge demand for it.
Right, well, that's my question.
Yeah, I think there's a huge demand for it. And I think it's good for overall to take a parking lot and make it productive,
Okay.
okay? Make it productive. But we don't have to agree to that, but you know, that's just my
Can I
opinion.
just, go ahead, just because Sam's here and I know there's a lot of other businesses here, and one thing we didn't talk about is, that's important, is that whatever we build has to fit around what's existing on the avenue, right? So people have back doors and they're getting deliveries and stuff, so the idea of sort of the transportation plan and the flow of activity is also something. So when we talk about what we think is a big project, and it's big for our town, but it's not big in scale, right? 1.8 acres of developable land or something like that, and having to fit that in. So I wanted to bring it up because it is an important part, I'm sure, that local businesses are thinking about. It's like, how am I I know I can do this now, we're mindful of that too. I just wanted to mention, because I see so many of you in the audience, and I just we didn't bring it up.
So I'm told Lindsay has a question from the internet.
I do.
Go ahead.
It's exciting.
This one.
There's a question or a concern that with DPW moving, there will not be as much physical security and eyes on the water tanks. And is there any plan to have DEP or EPA weigh in and offer recommendations on water security?
We can ask, but listen, those, the premise that DPW is eyes, like, they're not there.
Mhm.
Those guys aren't, if we're doing it right, they're not in that. They're out and about. But yeah, we can certainly, we'll make sure that that's And we do all we can to keep them safe. Yes. Patrick, in your hand.
Parking,
Parking.
that's my concern. How many spots do we have available presently? Do we, does anyone know?
So I don't know off the top of my head. I can tell you that what our goal here is that we get a net increase in the public parking that's available. Okay? And as I say that, that's not gonna be easy to do, but that's what we're trying to do. Okay? A net increase in the available public parking. Okay?
Yeah, you have 255 spots.
One person at a time.
You have 255 spots in the current plan. You have 155 units.
Right.
Correct? So each unit is gonna be required to have at least one space?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so how many?
Senior might be a little
Yeah,
different.
seniors-
because Their needs are different.
Senior
So
knocks
some may
that,
need two,
It
the
may
2
be-
bedrooms and the 3 bedrooms.
but the senior knocks that number back. The number's actually less. Listen, it's a core, I don't wanna get deep in the weeds on all this, but it's a bit of an accordion. The senior component, being of the size that it is, actually reduces what your parking requirement would be if they were just market rate apartments. Okay,
Tell me why.
because seniors tend to not have as many vehicles.
Will they have,
Okay.
will they,
It's
So less than one?
affordable senior has less.
less than
Okay,
one?
you can walk over the arms. Okay, fewer, really small parking lot, the size of that building, okay? So increasing the number of market rate units kind of has a accordion effect because it increases your parking requirements too. But the parking that's laid in this concept plan, okay, would be within structured parking in the buildings. Our goal here is that the public parking would be a net gain. That's what we're looking to do.
And also, I just like to, regarding parking, the stores that back up to the parking lot and have parking spaces in their parking area, in their back portion of the buildings. Well, it appears that they don't have access from the plan.
Yeah, it's a concept plan. They'll all have access, they won't be cut off. Whatever roadway access there is to get there, like it'll be there. Don't hold me to where all the one, this is a concept plan. It's not, doesn't have traffic engineering.
But we're geared in to having access to our property.
Oh, yeah, I just said that we have to set something up to block the trash. Like, we gotta have a roadway ability for delivery, Rob mentioned about deliveries and stuff in the back of the, like, we have to we have to address all
Well,
this.
currently, the trash is all taken back to the curb where the border line is drawn on the plan that was presented.
And so we'll, they're all things that would have to be worked out.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Who is the owner? Who's gonna be the owner and collecting all the rents?
It will be Tantum Realty. There'll be the Tantum Realty, Penrose, some entity that's created between them.
And they're financing the whole project?
Well, today, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yes, yeah, go ahead, you go right back. Creature.
Well, going back to normalizing bicycles, I'm Chrissy Spallone and Tom Messick and I manage the Collins Bike Share, which is next door in the Public Works building. We have a public restroom there, by the way, because they've
There you go, Sam.
Yeah, say urban.
I'll send my customers. And we've both been with Bike Share for over a decade, and some volunteers have been in the program even longer. First, I'd like to thank the borough for supporting us through all of our 16 years, and we know that our space comes at a cost. And we couldn't have held that space without the borough's support. And we're encouraged and delighted to hear Mayor Maley stated earlier that Bike Share will continue. That's good news in light of the new Penrose development. So 16 years is almost a generation. And in that time, we brought a lot of positive attention to Collingswood through media spotlights, PBS, WHYY, and ABC. We're the first public bike share, to my knowledge, that refurbishes donated bikes. And we have served as a model for several other bike sharing programs in New Jersey, in Lindenwold, and Pennsauken, and elsewhere in Henry County. We collaborated with a teacher at high school, helping him to start a bike maintenance program for students. And at a time when a lot of schools are phasing out the trades, we offer free mechanical instruction for people of all ages. Some of the children who work with us are now adults who go as mechanics or studying engineering, and one even started its own bike repair business. In our 16 years, we put 900 bikes on the road. And each of those bikes represents a goal that we help someone reach, whether it's helping families avoid parking at the pool or nice park, little league games. We help athletes train for triathlons. We help people gain independence if they don't have cars by providing consistent transportation to work and to grocery stores. And our bikes also help people achieve their wellness goals, including a customer who came back to us 100 times later because his bike share helped to kickstart his fitness journey. So we carried our customers through different seasons of our lives. Parents exchanged their kids' bikes as they grow for larger bikes. Some older adults traded their racing bikes for more comfortable cruisers so they could stay active. And with the new development that's on the horizon with Penrose, bike share, it's our turn to enter a new season as well. And we're apprehensive about what the future holds, but we're also excited and see an opportunity to reach our greatest potential. Over 16 years, we've proven our dedication and value to the community. And we hope that our new space, whether it's a standalone location or integrated into the new Penrose developments, will help us continue to serve Collingswood and to cement our town's reputation as an environmentally friendly town that values community, cooperation, and putting down roots. Our central location, our proximity to the farmers market, and our combined indoor and outdoor space have been key to our success thus far. We have submitted space requirements to the borough, and we hope that they'll be taken into consideration along with everything else we plan this exciting new journey together. We've also we've demonstrated the ability to fundraise. The local band, Candy Volcano, was actually started as a bike share fundraiser. And if there's a need for any more funding for the new building, we are willing and eager to step up to reach our goals together. So once again, I'd like to thank the borough for all of your support thus far and moving into the future.
Thanks. We really could have done without the plug Candy Volcano.
So I have a few questions, concerns, comments, I hope you don't mind, but and I know you'd be disappointed if I didn't ask about the affordable housing again. I know you mentioned it a lot. However, we just finished hearing from 30 Fern. They only approved 1 and 2 bedroom apartments for their affordable housing, and we desperately need 3 bedroom apartments for families. And that got kind of waylaid somehow, and I'm just expressing that I really think it's super important to make sure we have family affordable housing as well, especially since you've now dedicated an entire building to seniors, which is great, but we also need the larger 3 bedroom apartments for families.
And let me just say, we haven't dedicated an entire building yet to see, okay? That's what the concept is.
Okay.
It's a concept, right? That's what we're doing here. We're going through it, but let me just tell you on, the notion of the 3 bedroom. So a little different with that, with the church, we had already have the shed, okay? And how they can make it financially viable, and we, the borough, made them cut back the number of units so that the parking could stay on site on their part, okay? So with that, that's what reduced and took out any other units, okay? On the multifamily, I've already had a few conversations with Adam Gordon. Jamie, I think I saw Jamie called it, Jamie Reynolds, about. Well, we talked actually during the Mayfair, so I'm happy for a long time, so going over that, we're very, very aware of it. Probably because of the difficulties of this project, probably gonna engage with them. Fair Share Housing is the statewide entity that kind of advocates for and kind of is involved in every town with regard to the creation of affordable housing, okay? So their leader, the top dog, Adam Gordon, lives here, okay? He's an ace. But he, we're probably gonna engage, I told him we're gonna engage sooner instead of later because this is tough, okay? It's just hard. This is gonna be a hard one to do. This is a postdoctoral degree in how do we make all these components work, okay? Very aware about the multifamily trying to work that into this. Yep.
It has to be, it really has to be done. I'm sorry. Another thing is, you had mentioned in one of the earlier reports that you were thinking you would take pieces of other projects, other people that, said, and one of the things that I remember seeing somewhere was that you were talking about knocking down the retrospect in the flare dance.
See, the property owners are here, I thought it would be rude to just talk about that.
I'm
one
gonna
proposal
bring it up.
That Brett said to me, gee, that's great, you didn't pick the one that knocked our building down. I said like, hey, don't
But,
rush.
but you did mention in your report that there were some components of other things, and I just wanna point, I will throw my body in front of the wrecking ball to keep those buildings in place, because that's history. That's history. This county is historic, and those
Okay.
buildings are very important.
Okay,
Okay, there's that.
we ain't there, okay, okay, stretching the imagination.
I'm just saying,
But yes.
putting it
I hear
into
you.
the universe and.
For those of you one of the proposals that was submitted took out the retrospect and is the dance studio building. Took those buildings out and created kind of like a thoroughfare out to Hatton Avenue, going to the back, making them into a plaza. That was a concept. And my point was like, there's, the other proposals that we got have different little pieces that, look great. There's the amphitheater. Love to have the amphitheater there. Problem is we have that much space. That's it.
But that's actually my other thing, it's on your website, it says desire for public spaces that can be used for community events and civic gatherings. I was wondering what you had for ideas for that in that back space.
Here.
Nothing specific. Yeah, that's right. After we're done, we have that board that they're hiding from everyone is a little bit of a kind of a little red dot exercise for you to pick which things you would be interested in.
Sounds like
We did it in our rec study and everybody loved the red dot.
Bearing in mind that the train will drown out all activity every 10 minutes.
But you still have you've had music in the streets, it's been.
Oh, yeah, no,
Oh, yeah.
it's not off the table at all.
No, definitely want to do it again.
It'd
It's
be
like.
fun to hang out with my neighbors, that's.
Yeah, yep. All right, what else? Yes.
It was really easy.
Mm.
When your concept comes to fruition and you've built everything you want to build, and it's time to landscape, I just request that you make a place.
Okay. Okay, done. Yes.
Thank you for mentioning our building, and we definitely don't want to be replaced by hay. I would much rather see something nice go back there. I think that would support this, that exists. And you had mentioned earlier that, there are departments above all these places, but there's also alleys, you go down like a little alley and put something else.
Yep.
And so, in my view, the two alleys that exist, that's what that should be.
Protection, yeah. And listen, don't,
Yeah.
like, and I told you this, like, look, this is not, those buildings aren't going. We're not even close to that, okay? Yes, Patrick.
So-
The other property owner,
Oh, yeah. No, but I don't have a question about that. So if this.
you're gonna make me you're gonna call making it off, right? That's what you're.
Well, I was gonna see if I could list the land for sale. Are we gonna sell the property, that 1.8 acres?
We'll absolutely see, how that all works out, because again, a project of this size, the affordable component that we're gonna have in this is gonna affect the numbers, okay? So yes, the goal would be to sell it. We would love for the borough to sell it tomorrow, okay? And get a project that we want, but it's gonna be, there's a whole lot of factors involved in it, see how it works. So public parking, public parking is gonna be in this building. That public parking comes at a cost. Okay, so there's a lot of financial issues to be discussed. Structure. Yep,
Well, I guess the public parking, depending on how many spaces we're really gonna net,
right,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
That'll all be on, for us to.
Somehow we'll have to make those.
I mean, I'm really interested in the parking.
yeah,
I have a business.
we all are.
Yeah.
We're all interested in the park.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just wondering, should the land is owned by the borough,
Yes,
should the land be sold to a for-profit development that's gonna build apartments that are for-profit, as opposed to say, some kind of creative thinking, a seeking of a process for building housing that empowers the people who live in it. You know, and housing that is, I don't know what the outcome would be, but a creative solution that's not a for-profit development, but housing that people of Collingswood and their families could live in and benefit from. Like, should it be, like, why should it be for-profit as opposed to public land put to a nonprofit use?
Well, I would hope that even as a for-profit development, the for-profit developments that we have, Collingswood families are making use of it and enjoying it, presumably liking where they live. So I don't see it as an either or. Okay, the difficulty on doing, I'm not sure what you're suggesting, but if we were to do it, however you do this and build something here, it's really expensive. Okay, and so there's gotta be, the goal here is to make it economically sustainable. So that it generates the revenue that helps pay for the cost of constructing it. And throws a reasonable return to a developer, throws a reasonable return to the borough, and provides nice housing for people. Like that would be the goal. That's what we're trying to do. So. Happy to hear any other ideas you have for it. Happy to, yes.
That doesn't sound like it benefits the rest of the community. Like, what I'm hearing from like people who want public restrooms and people who want bike share and people who want natural landscaping, it's things that benefit the people that are already living here. And I'm not, like, there's no community center, there's no, I hear talk about a public park, maybe in communities sort of made fun of it, but I mean, what I'm thinking is like, well, you said something like there might be an amphitheater, but there's not, but space is of an issue. That
was in one of the other concepts.
But I'm just saying, it's like, how is this benefiting the people that are already living?
Sure, it benefits you in a couple different ways, okay? One is it keeps you having a viable downtown, okay? And that benefits you and everybody, okay? Because it keeps.
The downtown is not viable right now.
I'm saying that for the long term, the more people that live here oriented to it, the better off it'll be. Okay, the better off it'll be. We got a couple stores now that have been empty for a little while. Okay, the more people that are here that are oriented benefits, and it benefits all of us. Part of the increase in value of all of our homes is because this exists. Okay, for the long term, it's also a budgetary impact. Okay, for increasing the rateables helps spread out the costs. Our cops get raises every year, our firemen get raises every year, our hall staff get raises every year, health insurance keeps going up. And if we just keep with what we have, you're just gonna pay more and more and more and more. Okay? This, by adding other rateables, helps diffuse that, helps spread it out just a little bit, Okay? So, and you're gonna have new neighbors. Okay, there's a whole new community, use the example of the lumberyard, that whole community that's there now. I know people that are there, I'm sure you've met people that are, like, that's a whole new network of people that adds to the mix. That makes this town what it is, so yeah, it benefits, I believe it benefits every single one of us. As a property owner, it's a good thing, it's a positive, it's up to us to make sure it's that net positive, like it stays good for us. Okay? That's the goal.
And I would just add, I don't think it's an either or, right? That ultimately, if the idea is, all right, take the public, take the bike share, give me some bathrooms, and get out of there. That cost is enormous. And then there's operational costs that are with that. It's by the development, by doing these things that, that help us to fund things in the long run, to allow these things. We're having this conversation so we can hear about, I didn't anticipate the public bathrooms would come up, but I think it's a good point. And those things, and I don't think it's an either or. I think we can develop this, and improve our amenities in town. the other thing I'd say is there's no guarantees that Collingswood stays marvelous, fantastic Collingswood that it is today. It takes thought, thinking ahead, thinking, planning, and, you know, rearranging and arranging all these variables that come into play to make things happen. And I think just doing nothing or just saying, you know, leave it as it is and just, we can have more parking just by knocking the stuff down would be a terrible use of really important property, really important land in one of the most dynamic downtowns in Philadelphia, greater Philadelphia region. And so maximizing that usage in a way that creates vibrancy, that you know, has housing in itself, and perhaps other things that enhance livability, public health, the environment are all part of it. It's not an either or, but it's a symphony, right? You got your violins and stuff over here, your horns. How do you make it all work? That's the challenge. That's what we're trying to do, and that's why things like this are important.
And
So-
orienting toward the avenue makes a huge difference too. I've lived a block off the avenue and I've lived all the way in the corner of town. And it's just a different life. Using the resources we have when you're in it makes a huge difference. And I've owned a business on the avenue, and having more people there who live there, who use your business, is really noticeable. We saw a big impact when the lumberyard opened, when people were, and when the bigger restaurants were coming in, when Sabrina's came in, and some more customers, and it made a difference.
And listen, this room was filled when we talked about doing the lumberyard. Okay, and like, now that it's there, it's like, it's only just a part of it, it's just a part of it. Yes, sir, before you injure your wrist.
Sorry,
That's okay, that's actually.
I love our downtown as far as the restaurants are concerned. It's amazing food, amazing options. But the issue is like, people who are gonna be living in an apartment downtown are not gonna be able to afford to eat at our restaurants 7 days a week. I don't see that as ag, especially if it's seniors on a fixed income. I don't see that as being as big a boom as people might think it is. I lived a block off of Patton Avenue for 5 years, and it was great, but even on two fairly large incomes, it was still, we couldn't be out constantly. It was maybe once a week, but I just don't, I'm just afraid, like.
You buy your produce at Sarah's?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, like, there's just.
that's the point,
Right, I know,
that's the point. Did you buy your ingredient card at H&M?
yeah,
Okay,
it's there, I'm not saying it's not.
you don't have to eat a hard side every night. I don't eat a hard side every night.
It's fair. It's not kind of skin on this one year. Yeah, but 5%, 10%.
You won't get in your car and go drive somewhere else to go buy a car. Walk out here.
No, I agree 100%.
That's it. That's all it is. That's all it is. Yes, now, hold on. Let me bounce on the food places. Go ahead.
Like it's louder over here. I think it comes back. I'm thinking of, is that it's still the best place for the farmer? Would be worth considering in part as you go along this process. And if it is, then that sort of, you talked about sort of a way.
Pedestrian.
Like a walkway,
right.
right access, so it could, there could actually be a structure, maybe part of this development that would be like in Kenneth Square, kind of covered.
With the Bible. Yeah.
Sort of
So-
thing
so-
that would function for the market, but also for people coming and going along.
So you may not believe this, but on the lumberyard, we have had a bunch of people, early days, they wanted to be on the train side. Okay, like different sort of peanut butter ice cream, okay, like they wanted to be on the train side. So, yeah, and look, the noise of the train, we're trying to get things, when what is it, it's grinding, like they have to do something every year or so to help knock that back, we're working on that. But, okay, I hear you, proximity to the train, let me tell you, if we build anything over here, it's gonna sound like that. Like that.
Water.
Let me go around, we face, go ahead, yes?
Water?
I guess there's been questions around. This might be a little bit here, but has there been any discussion about the certification or for either the building, the site itself, or any other type of building?
So LEED cert, we I'll tell you what we did with the public safety bill. We satisfied all the leak cert. I forget which level, silver, gold,
Lead like.
lead light. We satisfied all, but we didn't buy the lead certification, but we satisfied all. Okay, so yeah, we'll be doing that. We'll be looking to do that. So it's just cost. It cost what? I was told the number. 50 Gs a cost. Yeah, we didn't do that. Yes, Joseph. Don't plug candy on candy. Go ahead.
Will this be a pilot?
In all probability, my guess would be yes, it would be a pilot. In order to make it like affordable and everything to work, there's definitely gonna be, that's definitely gonna be part of the discussion. Yeah.
And let me just jump in real quick, 'cause I'm the one that doesn't do this stuff all the time, but it's payment in lieu of taxes.
Yes.
And right now, this area is getting nothing, right? There's no payment for that we're getting from PPW, that we're getting from Reddit. So there's gonna be new monies coming in. Some of it's gonna pay for, parking debt, because we're in public parking. We've also, and we've talked about this in terms of the recreation plan, is that using pilot money that comes in and dedicating it towards recreation purposes. So that's something that we've said several times. So I just want to point out, because pilots are difficult to understand, and I get it, they really are, but it's not there's other types of ways to do this stuff where essentially nothing's coming in, we're really money coming in, we're dedicating it towards public new money.
All right, Justin?
I mean, I put it out there.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
it's there, it's a good question.
It is.
Yes, sir. I want to get new faces. Go ahead.
The pilot program, how long does that last?
Typically, a long term would be 30 years. Okay, a long term pilot would be 30
Will
years.
any of that money be used for the school district?
So with there being apartments that would include school children, we will certainly have a conversation with the school. Sir, when we did the lumberyard, we had discussions with the schools, okay? And, the superintendent then, Scott Oswald, said, sweet mother of God, like, let there be kids, okay? Because Garfield was severe underpopulated, they needed more kids in, that's where kids would have gone. And the high school could use them as well. Our expectation then was, that we wouldn't really be getting school age children. Because, the target market was young professionals, empty nesters. And I do believe we've had one high school kid there at the lumberyard. And that was because they bought one of the first units, they downsized before the last one graduated. Okay, so it was a way to.
The density of the school district might be that much, but money won't be used to help upgrade it. The one question I do have, because it's kind of been, you touched on it a couple of times. One, this is about, to get rateable, so they keep taxes down, keep them at bay. And also, this is to help our downtown. I'd like to hear from somebody in the downtown district who's clamoring for this project, because it seems like we keep going back to that. I hear we're talking, we need to drive something to the downtown, but let's hear from some of the folks that have downtown business that we don't have enough traffic.
Sure, listen, nobody's clamoring. Okay, our lives would be so easy to just say, never. It's just gonna stay apart. We all love the park. It's just gonna stay apart. Okay? Listen, I would still have hair if we didn't build a lumberyard. Okay? Good Lord, the fountain. Like, let me take you to redoing the park. Like, let me take all those projects that were the big projects that got a lot of people upset, questioning, unsettled. Those things, for the most part, are now, they're part of what makes our town great. Okay, so it'd be, I don't have 20 business people come and saying, hey, we need more people coming. We need more people coming. This is.
Well, it's kind of the theme that's been alluded to here.
Oh, it's a benefit. It's a benefit, okay? There's one here, still take more people. It's a benefit, okay? It's a benefit that we get from doing a development. But I think for the long-term benefit of the community, on budget levels, on having more people engaged and involved in our town, I think I think it's overall positive. Yes, we will, I'll bounce around, yeah, go ahead.
I'm not sure if it's like about this question, it's probably nothing new, but.
Wait a second.
But, I am a business town, and I chose this town because this town is such a nice place that you can actually, walk the downtown. And so I think in the midst of bringing more people here and, I was opening more cars and, more life and excitement, I think that's such an amazing thing. The thing I have to say is just, keeping in mind that already some existing troubles with bike infrastructure and pedestrian safety. I know, hit my car one time now and things, so just keeping in mind, ways to make it safer for us to grow and for, kids to be here and just, as we're getting bigger, can that be part of it?
You got it. Good stuff. Yeah, Lee?
Yeah, one thing I was thinking of is we sort of unofficially had like almost like a civic space for a lot of the recent festivals. The parking lot behind Drive-In, is there a new plan for like what that could be? Because it feels like we'd be like using a big public space with that.
So green, right, Juneteenth, we used it, we really. Clover Market, yeah, we haven't gotten down to that, like, but we would find a way to do it in some other space. Like we're about to build the pocket park over here, and the benefit of that site, one of the bennies is that Woodlawn's so wide that it offers a really big space, that we can do something over there. So we'll get there, like where Clover Market's gonna be after our project's built, we'll figure that out. Yes, sir.
I would just say I would be more interested in more people, more housing, particularly affordable housing, over more parking. And, you got viability of downtown, not built on parking, we're next to one of the few 24-hour transit lines. A nice walkable downtown. Just put that out there.
I agree with you. Left part. I hear you and I understand. I would love, especially if trying to do this, I would love us to not have to do any parking. But the reality is a whole lot of people are coming from Mount Laurel and Medford to have dinner and to shop here. And like they ain't taking the bus.
No, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like they need a place to park the car. Yeah. And they don't park in a structure, they park in the streets. Front of people's houses.
Yeah, in a lot of suburban towns, you'll see that the ratio of parking to like bedrooms could be like 1 to 1, right? And that creates a sea of parking lots, like, we don't foresee having anything near that kind of ratio. So the idea is, obviously we'd love to have folks that go, I really need to park. I can get into the city, I can get to where I need to go, there's ride shares, stuff like that. We don't know, obviously the markets, people who do this stuff, that are putting up the capital, kind of will have a good sense of rules that come in there. But, the idea of those sort of ratios that are out there, those suburban towns, we don't touch those, we'll be less.
And I think to keep saying lumber, with the garage, like the way we did the garage and everything over here, like the ratios are less than our side X, so it works with this whole transit village and shared parking. So, go ahead.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
just curious about the lack of commercial space in the original proposal. Was there a reason behind that? Is there maybe an opportunity for that? Just because it seems like this is a great opportunity, want something similar to King's Court over in Haddonfield, where it's, you have a lot of opportunity for open space, for seating, for restaurants and what have you, especially if we're looking at the water tower as a park. It seems like if you don't have commercial there, that's going to be a dead zone for anyone.
No, we did talk about that, and part of it is the dead zone part of it would affect the retail establishments. To get back there, it's like they're doomed to fail to open top back. So it's not that it's an absolute no, it's that it's an even bigger challenge. Owning a small business is so hard. Getting off of the main drag makes it that much better.
Okay, but I'm just thinking like gas and main, it's a Shakespeare.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
Nominee and.
Yeah. And we also don't have, this space is so much smaller than we all are picturing it, that the courtyard aspect, the size of Kingsport doesn't exist. Just the land isn't there, so that's part of it, not yet.
We did kick around the idea to just keep it out there as the idea that if we have public space there, to think about doing some pop-up stuff. That could happen. So that would be not be a capital thing, it'd be more operational, but how do we do this? So those things are still kind of floating out there. Of course, we're just a concept stage. So.
I had this conversation with Scoopus today, okay, and my concern would be, it just takes away from that. Okay, the spots where we have trouble the most, like Pally, if people go down that street, the one that's a big developed street, really tough. And on the other spots, the side, the businesses on the side, like the music store is going great, you know, but it's like, those are the hard spots, they're just the hard spots. So it's, I think of, oh, you're covering this, you're not part of the public, you're not part of it. Yes.
We keep talking about it, we did a couple times about the footprint being so small. And you have mentioned that some of the concepts talk about high rises, and I just, it's something that we talked about it a lot, you know, the height of these buildings, and you said that there's no elevations yet. And the way that some of the facades could be articulated could help to, you know, the way this is all gonna look, but is there, I'm just concerned about, you know, having, all, you know, you have all of a sudden all these open space and all of a sudden there's gonna be physical buildings, you know, and the height of them, you know, and then you wanna put parking, and then you wanna put, you know, commercial, and then you wanna put, you know, just to make sure that it doesn't really end up being horrible, you know.
So we didn't, we didn't go with that, with the concept.
Right.
Yeah, but for one, but two is going above a certain level, construction costs go through. Okay, so it makes it so much harder to do. So it's not, I don't think there's much risk of it, like, we end up with a 10-story building, okay? Because the numbers just won't work. Yeah. Yeah, but the architecture, like when we get into all that, like I think the borough overall has a pretty good track record, like regard looks like it's safety building, looks like it's been there forever, like we put a lot of time and effort, and people will see, like when we did public safety, we rotated different conceptuals and architecture and got feedback from everybody about what they thought. You know, it worked. Like that firehouse looks like it's always meant to be there. Always. It wasn't. Go ahead, one more plug for finish. Go ahead.
One thing just to say, Morgan, what comments you had, I just want to say that your choice in all this development, the previous business owner of brick and mortar was very challenging business model. We appreciate that you're bringing us back to this discussion. I think representing a lot of us. So important. I want to say one thing, when I look at the lumber yard, one thing I kind of feel as I walk away from it is a sense of kind of like being a little sterile. A little bit. And so I'd love to hear, not you, but I mean, I'd love to hear the idea of what the idea of public art or some sort of more way to involve creativity in what's kind of being built, and especially using college-based local artists to make that with art. Thank you.
Bird art.
Yeah, you can be birds, that's awesome.
All your favorite art. Yes.
All right, couple things. I live on Haddon Avenue. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah.
I live on Haddon Avenue. Yes, the fountain is great. I love it. It's a great photo op. Great job. Okay. Also, about parking, the less funneling on Haddon Avenue, the better. Because, you know, I know a lot of people are gonna be coming in or whatever, and sometimes it's tough to get spots when you go shopping somewhere else or whatever. So yes, I want more parking, so it's less on Haddon.
Yeah. Very good, very
Yep,
good.
I just want to go back to the pilot idea. It just seems like a way, I'm not saying it is, to circumvent contributing to the city budget. So if you're doing a pilot, right? And you said there's a possibility, there could be, potentially senior housing and potentially, smaller apartments, not a big potential for school-age children. So
Let me just, just go through this with pilots quickly, okay? Pilots take no money from the school's budget.
I'm
They
not
take
saying
none.
that they take it. I'm saying, do they contribute to the school's budget?
The schools, they don't contribute to, okay? But that doesn't affect the school's budget.
So if
The school
they,
puts a budget together.
yeah,
Say we just budget together tomorrow for $1 million, okay? And today, we declare that half of town is under a pilot. Okay? The school gets $1 million from everybody else,
okay,
okay? So the schools don't lose any money, don't get anything less than what the budget is that the board puts together.
so
Okay.
the taxpayers
What
pay,
the
the other
taxpayers pay
taxpayers
something
the
more. For this property,
Yeah.
okay, 0 is being contributed to help that
Today.
today.
Oh, right now.
Yes, 0 is.
But-
So if
Okay, I get
if
what
we
you're
do,
saying, right?
yeah, and so if we're gonna do a pilot, it would be to give an incentive to make the project happen. Okay, and what I said earlier was, to the extent that we're gonna have school-age children with family, we will have discussions with the school board,
Right,
okay? We will talk to the school, we'll have discussions about that. So I'm not saying that there's no way that they get it. I'm telling you, when we did it with the lumberyard, they weren't asking. Okay, because we weren't expecting any kids to be in, and it was like, if we were gonna have kids coming out of the lumberyard, they wanna. Okay,
I guess I'm not understanding if it were not a pilot and if it were just somebody buying the property, then they would pay taxes like everybody and
Then-
other business.
then in my example, the $1 million, the budget, say that the taxes there were $10,000. Then they would be paying 5,000 toward that million.
Okay,
The schools wouldn't be getting $1,005,000.
okay,
They get the same number. It doesn't take anything away from the school's budget.
Don't they rebudget every year?
And whatever they decide is their budget, they get that money, we pay them that money, whether we collect the taxes or not. Okay, if people don't pay their taxes in town, the borough budget gives the school all of their school board budget, all of it.
Yeah.
They never lose a nickel, okay? So it is just not, it does have an impact on everybody else. Okay, but that's different, that's not saying that the schools lose money, it's not,
okay.
okay?
But it's
So
also,
those are
on everyone else, understand, it's just, it's Peter and Paul, right? So the idea is, okay, you have a pilot, so that allows the borough to pay for a parking garage in the schools. That gets spread out over more people. But if you do it the other way, okay, the schools get it, but the borough's gotta pay for the parking garage. Property tax is essentially gonna be more or less around the same. Difference is county payments, but
I mean,
that's spreading it over an entire county.
I don't have children in the school district. I'm very happy to pay taxes towards the school district, so I'm kind of confused why that's not something that's built into the discussion. It has to be children included as well for any kind of discussion about that.
Well, simply because by setting up a pilot, by operating a wall, there's no money that gets paid to the schools. That's all. So it just kicks off that discussion, which, Parkview, Parkview schools are paying $250,000 out of that pot. Okay? From a pilot. And that was because when we did that way back when, we had a conversation with the school, and we set up that we'd be making payments.
Yes.
Okay? That's what we have done that, that's what we do.
Okay.
All right, yes, Debbie.
Real quick, I want to thank you for considering those of us who want to age in place. I heard what you said, so I hope that this is the last project that in mind to give more opportunities for my generation. I want to follow up on what Kara said about the art, because I think Bergen's purchasing that building and hopefully making improvements is an opportunity on that end of the development to consider if we can't have that this brand as an amphitheater, something that integrates the farmers market stage with Perkins, with artists in town, something creative that make it a little less generic. I think parking garages are great. I don't have a problem with them, but a woman visiting this town at night doesn't do a parking garage the way they do a parking lot. So I think that's something to keep in mind. These places for them alone at night to park. And also if we let this property go without improving shade for farmers market, summer we're gonna get.
Okay.
That, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank
I love, yes,
It's sort of related to that. Is the parking garage ever full?
here, it's pretty close. Yeah, it's pretty close.
I've
It's just-
been there for years, but when I occasionally would find it in there, it's like, so, it took a while to respond.
No,
So
it's
I
pretty,
think that's-
it's used really well, and that's a good thing because the bottom floor is, most of it's reserved bottom, right? Permits for part of the residences and then just for businesses, we start business permits, they can use the one on the piece of it. And then this, the second level, the public parking is a mix of public parking and residential, like the folks that are in apartments can have permits in there. So it's a shared parking that we have both. It'd be some kind of shared parking is probably what we'll be looking at, but, because the people, most of the demand for the apartments are at night parking. And most of the demand, well, not anymore, nobody's going to the office anymore, so it's all, all that's changed. But it's some kind of share, that's whether you'll not, the parking requirement numbers under the state standards get knocked down because there's some sharing, because we're close to the speed line. So there won't be as many cars because people are buying here to their.
Can we incorporate some choice parking into the parking garage?
Yeah. Those, yeah,
Then that would be like.
for sure, it'll be amenities, that's a hot amenity.
Right, but
Apartments
that's the
that-
farmer's market,
Yes.
it's a lot of it. And there's, well, you know, we can put them in our building, but most people don't have a building where they
Yeah.
go put their
No,
bike.
it would, it's
They're
a
all over.
amenity for any kind of apartment. Give the evil eyes from Sandy. We're gonna, so listen, we're gonna pause this, we're doing we're gonna do a little something here, we're around, happy to talk to anybody. We have another session a week from Saturday, okay? You are all welcome to attend. It is gonna kind of be a rerun of this, there's nothing new that we're doing there. We just are doing kind of this session on a weekend morning to give people who the schedule doesn't work so good another chance to do it. Won't be any elevations, won't be any new magic, won't be, putting the closing bike share, no change, nothing's gonna happen in that time. It's just gonna be, when you're welcome to come, it's gonna be at the public safety building, right? So we're gonna do it at the bays there, because I'm happy to report that this room's rented. Scotch Rite is rented, we don't have any other public space to do it in. So we're gonna do it up at the base of the firehouse. But we'll be here, Sandy, do you wanna talk about what the exercise is, your red dot exercise?
It's not red, it's green.
Green.
So, and it's the same. You're gonna want like.
You wanna come up down here? Can't hear you.
So, yeah, people could just stop by, we have a few different ways to provide input. One of the boards made more dots, and we're gonna ask you to prioritize the things that are most important to you. We understand that all the things might be important, but we're asking you to get the top three. So we can kind of get that feedback, and that's on different amenities we would like to see in the area, whether it's a space that's within the development or the farmer's market, a lot of things. So you'll see a lot of the things people mentioned on here, like that's pretty. So. One of the things to care about, and then we have some free form comment activities, so if you need to speak, or you have more to say, or you have an idea, you can post it or against ideas. And leave behind your comments.
Okay, so
And we're sticking around, so.
yeah, we're around, we want to talk, so.
Can
Thank
you
you.
also say that we are to
Thank you, no, I mean.
Don't recognize Sid.
Thank
Thank you all for coming out, you're feel free to email any of us, any questions, thoughts, comments that come down the line. We don't read anything on social media, so don't try to communicate that.
Some of us do.
Okay, thank you all.
Okay, I'm gonna mark the.
Thank you.